All right, that one was on the money, but I'll let that sight drift a little high on this one. On this one, also on that soda jug. Hi, this is Greg with Lionquestfitness. I'm going to make this short and sweet because it's July the 5th on a Saturday and people are already starting to shoot fireworks. So what I wanted to talk about though was grips. And what is a jumped up J frame? Well, here we have a Model 36 from 1982 with a 3-inch bull barrel. I consider this a jumped up J frame because with that 3-inch barrel, you're actually getting, depending on the ammunition, 100 to 150 feet per second more velocity shot out of this gun. Here we have a Model 640. Now, once again, this frame is meant to be able to handle, not necessarily on a regular basis, but to be able to handle 357. This is considered a J frame, and the barrel's actually a 1/4 of an inch longer than most 38 J frame revolvers. So this is what I would consider to be a jumped up J frame. Now this one weighs 22 ounces. Now grips. I want to talk about grips. All right, there's 3 factors to consider if you change grips, and especially from stock grips. Now this originally had rubber grips, rubber banana grips, which really didn't work for me. I needed something thicker. Right? Now I had the brown grips on this gun, and it fit my hand, but it didn't mitigate recoil very well. Because even with 158 grain lead, I could still feel it. And the reason why, the white grips, even though they're both Bautelier grips from Altamont, I don't know if you can tell or not, but they're slightly thicker. All right, so that's one factor to consider. But when I switched grips and put these on this gun, it changed as you can see from shooting, it changed my aim point slightly. So whereas I've been raising the front sight, I need to lower it a little bit more. Now, one thing about those white grips in this gun, it would not allow me to use a speed loader. Now that you say, well, they're both J frames, that's correct. But the 640 weighs 22 ounces, slightly bigger frame to handle 357, whereas this is 38 special. However, when I put the brown grips on this gun, I could use a speed loader. There wasn't any problem. And that's one thing to consider with your grips, is the fact that some types of grips might not allow you to use a speed loader. And then last but not least, how well do they come out of a holster? And a lot of the rubber grips are very tacky. It's hard, especially if you're pocket carrying, it's hard to get that firearm out. Now, these grips here have just enough texture for this gun here. Good balance, very good balance. Whereas with the white grips, I tend to feel like it was overbalanced because of the difference in size. Now this gun right here with these grips and shooting 357, I was shooting the MagTech 158 grain copper jacketed flat nose. I was very pleased. It handled the recoil very well. I couldn't feel it. And whereas with the brown grips, I could. Now these grips, I'm not necessarily recommending the Bautelier grips. They are expensive, but they are beautiful grips. And I think the faux ivory looks better on this gun, whereas the brown grips look better on this gun. And this is Greg with Lionquest Fitness.